Hey everyone. Thank you for joining us for the next session of Fabric Data Days. My name is Anna. I'll be your producer for this session. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our moderators and presenters to answer. Our session is recorded. It can be viewed on demand right here on the Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our presenters today. Thank you so much for joining.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone all around the world. So we are here today because we want to be data engineers. Hi, Marty. How are you doing?
Hey, Javier, how are you doing? It's great to be back presenting with you as well and discussing how to be a data engineer with Microsoft Fabric.
So today we have a great session ahead, a lot of content. So we would like you to tell us from where you are watching, right? So please get into the YouTube chat, right? And tell us from where you are. So we would like to know our audience. So again, my name is Javier Villegas. I am from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I am Microsoft MVP in the data platform award category. I'm also Microsoft certified trainer. At the same time, I work at Mediterranean Shipping Company as IT director. I'm one of the leaders of our local community here, SQL Argentina, and we have our YouTube channel, No iData. So feel free to join us. So, Marty.
Okay, thanks a lot, Javier. So, very similar to Javier, although I'm not in Argentina. I'm in Australia, in Brisbane, Australia, where it's nice and sunny. We're just coming into summer. So, like Javier, I am an MVP and also an MCT, Microsoft Certified Trainer. Spent a lot of time working in the Microsoft data platform, right from SQL Server through Azure and into Fabric. So, we're going to take it away and get into this. Javier, do you want to tell people about our moderators?
Absolutely, absolutely. Today with us, we have a great team supporting it from the back end with, the moderation. We have Anupama, we have Philippa, and we have Chris. They're going to be answering all your questions in the YouTube chat. So feel free to post all your questions. Again, keep getting from where you are watching because we want to really know, right? And, as soon as we go through the session, our great moderators will be answering all your questions.
That's right, Javier. Like me and you are positioned around the globe, so are our moderators. It'd be great for people to drop in the chat where they are, what time it is they are, and where they're watching from. So let's get into it.
Good. So today we are in the Fabric Data Days, right? This is not the first episode of the series. Actually, it's the last one, right? But we have more ahead. And there are a bunch of useful links that you will need. And we will be, posting into the different chats, right? For you to know, the most important one is aka.ms/Fabric Data Days, or in some cases, FDDs, right? You will see that in our slide. And then you will see schedule, live, cert, and many others that we will be sharing, right? As I said, this was a series. We are reaching the last episode, but wait, there is more, right? So you have all the schedule. And if you missed one of the previous episodes, you go to the YouTube page, you go to the Reactor page within YouTube, and you have all of that recorded, right? So just before this session, there was a great one related to databases within Fabric. Yesterday, we did the one on data analyst, and we had some others before. So really, really good. So here, important to follow aka.mx Fabric Database live, right, for all the episodes, this one and the ones ahead. And if you want to see the full schedule, you have the link over there.
Great stuff, Javier. We provide loads of links and loads of useful information for people to go to. So there's the schedule if people are needing it.
And, you know, Martin, since this is also a lot of fun, we're going to have contests and challenges, right? So this is basically a set of challenges that, depending on the audience, you will be jumping into one or the other, right? This is actually...
Yeah,
go ahead.
You know, I was just going to say, Javier, sorry. These contests and challenges are pretty good, especially like looking at the entries, whatever contest it is, for things that you're not particularly good at. For example, I'm not particularly good at visualization. It's probably the one part of the whole Fabric data platform that, you know, I need to improve on. But it's really good watching.
Same for me. It's the most complex part, definitely, to me.
Yeah, I know. It's the part that people see and they think that's all there is to it, a nice visualization on the screen. But, you know, some of the people that are on like the data viz challenges and that, they produce absolutely phenomenal dashboards. And it's really good to pick up tips from them and see how they're doing and what's coming and all that sort of thing. So good stuff.
Yeah, so definitely we encourage you to go check out these challenges, these contexts, right? And go for them, right? If you are into the data visualization, definitely you should follow them. And also, you know, since you are following the series, right? We have also the possibility to give you a discount for the different certification, right? For the DP 600 and the DP 700, right? There is one discount that is actually 100%. Yes, you listen correctly, right? This is 100% discount. So you go to that link right now, and our moderators will be putting the links in the chat for you to follow, right? And you get the discount.
Yeah, well, that's right, Javier. So it's probably a bit tricky for people to write down those links, but I've got a QR code. So you can scan the QR code and it'll take you through to the appropriate place.
Yeah, I mean, beside the DP 600 and the DP 700, there is also a 50% discount for the PL 300 and the DP 900, right? These other two are, you know, not totally within the scope of our session today, but it's also good to have it, right? We also have a QR code, Marty, in the next slide for that 50% discount as well, right? So
yeah, that's on the screen now, Javier, I think.
Yeah. This is for the DP 600 and 700. Scan that, take a picture, whatever, and right after this session, right?
Yeah.
Go there and get your discount, right? Also, if you like, you know, instructor-led hands-on workshop, there are two really, really great workshops that you should apply for, right? Fabric Analyst in a day and real-time intelligence in a day. These two workshops are really hands-on workshops that will help you to get into the technology of Fabric as an analyst and the real-time intelligence component within Fabric, right? So you have the links on the screen, follow them, right? Again, just watch our session today, then, you know, a lot of new resources for you to follow. So definitely, you should take
right,
advantage.
Javier. And you see Microsoft partners doing these free sessions around the globe all the time. I've conducted a few of these sessions with a friend of mine, Heidi Hastings, who's been on here with me plenty of times. And we've done some of these in person across Australia. They're really well attended. And I think attendees find them really useful. Like, they're good entry points. For example, the real-time analytics. A lot of people know a lot of stuff about batch data, but maybe haven't gone into the world of real-time so much. And these are good entry points to get understanding and know-how in that area.
So, to me, I have done both workshops, and as we said before, Marty, I'm not a visual guy, right? So definitely the fabric analysts in a day give you this sneak peek, hands-on experience to have the entry point to the visualization area, and definitely the real-time intelligence one is super interesting. You will see all the amazing capabilities of the fabric platform for real-time intelligence.
It is indeed, Javier. It is indeed. And we've got real-time dashboards in real-time intelligence, which are distinct from Power BI, and good visualization tools as well. But let's get into our content. What have we got in store?
Yeah, so this is why we are here, Marty. So we want to be data engineer. So what do we do?
What are we going to cover?
What we're going to be covering today on this session is explaining a little bit from our point of view, because the data engineer professional may have multiple angles, right? But we're going to give you one of those angles, at least the one that is for us, right, of what is a data engineer, right? At the same time, and right after, we're going to check on the skills that we need for the DP700 certification. That is the Microsoft certification, which, as we just said, we're going to have the 100% discount, right? That is targeted to data engineers, right? That certification is not targeted to visualization, is for data engineers. So in a bit, we will tell you exactly what are the skills that matters. Then within the platform, we're going to do it with Fabric, how we can do data engineering with Fabric. Of course, we need to know how to get started, right? And to finish the episode today, Marty, we're going to also check some career paths, right? And which should be the next steps.
Right, good stuff, Javier. And like you say, getting started. So there's plenty of different entry points. I mean, there's the entry point where people have never used it before and are coming along to this for the first time. That's kind of one entry point. There's other entry points where people have been using, say, SQL Server, and now they're stepping up to Fabric and going on PaaS systems. Or maybe they've been using other cloud providers. They've just been in Azure, and they're making that transition through to Fabric and the SaaS world of not just data engineering, but data analysis and the whole suite of things that go across the Fabric ecosystem. So we are live and interactive, hey, Javier?
Yeah. So that is why we have our moderators here. We definitely want you to participate, right? So if you have doubt, if you have question, if you just want to chat with us, the YouTube chat is the place, right? So this is your opportunity. Remember that we are live, right? So as soon as we finish this session, it's going to be recorded, but you won't have the possibility to interact with us anymore. So take the opportunity, use the chat, and get interactive.
Good point, Javier. Good point. A live and interactive chat is obviously only available for the next hour. People watching this on YouTube will just have to, make do without any live and interactive chat. But hopefully, Javier, we will do a great session and it'll be useful to those people who are watching the recording. So let's get into this. What is a data engineer? Feel free to comment in the chat. You might have a different opinion than the rest of us, but basically, it's someone who designs, builds, maintains a lot of the ecosystem, maybe the ingestion and the transformation of data. So across the ecosystem, we're really doing things, from a process point of view, things that we've been doing for many, many years, like before Fabric, before SQL, age-old things. But we are ingesting data, we're transforming data and doing something to it, maybe adding some value, and then we're modeling it and visualizing it to our audience. So Javier, I'm sure you've been in this space for a long time, and I guess you've used different tools other than Fabric. And yeah, what do you think?
I'm actually, I would like to call it old school guy, right?
Yeah.
I work with many SQL Server versions. I'm a backend person, right? That is why I said that the visualization part is the part that really is more the complex one to me, right? But I feel really, really comfortable with the data engineering hat, right? So getting into the data sources, doing the transformation, as you said, Marty, storing the data, cleaning the data, doing data cleansing, right? And providing those data sets ready for the data analysts to get into those semantics models and finally do those great visuals, right? But for us, being able to, do the initial part. I mean, this is an end-to-end project, right? You won't be able to do a data platform project if you don't work as a team, right? You need the data analysis. We are here to see what the data engineering is. We need the visualization part, right? So we definitely need to work as a team. And I know that there are multiple slides talking about that.
Yeah. And it's good that you bring up that the fact that it's multifaceted. There's people with multi skills working right across the team. So I mean, we might specifically be talking about data engineering, but there's people who do data modeling, and then there's people who do data visualization, machine learning, all that sort of thing. And as someone who's part of that ecosystem, you're also getting exposure to other team members who are working on different parts of the ecosystem. And I guess by just osmosis and just working with people in general, you get talking, you're picking up bits of skills that they've got, you're enhancing your own skills, they're enhancing their skills, and everyone's getting an insight into the whole the whole ecosystem. Like we said before, we're not visualization people, but because we tend to work with those people, we're now just picking up things about Power BI, about data modeling that maybe make it easy for visualization, and all that sort of thing, just enhancing your skill sets in general. However, Javier, you go.
No, I just want to say, Mari, here that I do believe that the key word from this slide is being the bridge for the data analyst and also the AI, right? I love this phrase that data is the fuel that powers AI. So we, as a data engineer today here, we're part of this team, right? To work, right? And if we want to dig a little bit deeper, right, we mentioned also the data analyst profile, right? And today we're here to talk about data engineer, I know, right? But just to be everybody on the same page, the data engineer guy is the one working, let's say, at the back end, gathering the data from the operational sources, ingesting the data into the platform, in this case, Microsoft Fabric, the one that we are working with, storing the data and doing the transformation. The data analyst profile is the one that get that data, right? Do the semantic model and then the visualization that provide the dashboards and report to the final user, the business user, the decision takers. Right.
Yeah, Javier, that's great. That's a good analogy, really, like the bridge to AI and the fact that AI works on good, clean data. And I guess you could draw the analogy there with, just a human being. If someone asks you a question and you know how to answer it, well, you need good knowledge. And that knowledge is built on the things that people have told you, the information, basically the data that you've acquired over the years. So if you've got knowledge about that, you can answer the question well. But you do get some people in life who will just, answer the question superficially because the data they've got is maybe limited to the scope that they're talking about. So you can draw those parallels. I know AI has got no sort of feelings or emotions and that like, but there is that kind of analogy to be drawn with a human being. But one of the other things I've really noticed about the cloud in general is the explosion of data sources in general. When we were using SSIS, we'd maybe be limited to a few SQL Server, Oracle, maybe a few more, Salesforce, that sort of thing. But now there's systems everywhere, right across the internet. Different types of data sources, structured data, unstructured data, batch data, real-time data. And that's taken us into, knowing more about more things. And also at the same time, as data engineers, we're going to have to deal with customers, business people, analytics engineers, and the whole skew of individuals across the platform.
Yeah, as we said before, Marty, this is not a one person only shop, right? If you want to do an end-to-end project, right, you need all the profiles, right? The one that I like the most, of course, is the first one, right? Gathering into the data source. And this is where I want to highlight now. As you said, in the past, we just have integration services to get the data from few data sources. Today, there are plenty of places in where you can go download a sample data set of any point. For example, as I said yesterday, I love sport, right? I love soccer. So you go there, you get a lot of statistics, and you can do your data engineer process based on a data set that you download from any of these places. There are also data sets on healthcare, e-commerce, everything. So definitely super easy to get started with, right? So if you want to be a data engineering, go there, check out for these free data sources, sample data sources, and then start doing what you're going to be learning today. Get the data into the Fabric platform, do the transformation, right? And then, provide the data set, the curate data set to the data analyst.
That's right, Javier. And I think as a data engineer, some people see a bit more of the life cycle than others. So you obviously got to design first. So some people aren't in the design stage. Some people are just on the building stage. They'll just be given some requirements to build it. And that's great. And I guess if you're just a junior starting off, someone might say, can you take data from A to B? That's literally all we want to do. But maybe as someone who's more experienced, you're going to be like designing that and, how do you want the pipeline to work? When do you want to get data? How long do you expect the data acquisition to run for? What do you need to performance tune? So there's a whole gamut of things that go into that design. And although the data pipeline themselves might be an unseen bit behind the scenes, it's one of the most crucial parts of the system because it's actually great getting the source data and pulling it into the system, ready to be modeled, and obviously give people that fresh data and that insight into whatever they're looking at, whether it's sporting fixtures, results. For example, you don't want to see results that are 3 days old if you're looking for them like right now. You want to see like this, did your team win or did your team lose? Literally as the game is in progress or running. Do you reckon, Javier?
No, yeah, I mean, agree 100% with that. I will say it as we want to highlight, collaboration across teams, right?
Too right.
One of the skills that a data engineer should have is communication skills, because again, we need to work with the analysts, right? To work and deliver those data sets ready for them to be consumed, right? And you can have, as you said, any seniority. You can be junior, you can have a mid-level or senior, but these are definitely the steps that we need to follow in any platform at any project, right? And our recommendation here is get involved, get your hands dirty, play around, right? And we will see later all the resources that Microsoft will give you to accomplish that.
Yeah, and like as a data engineer, you want to be thinking about other things too, like quality, consistency, governing data. You want to be monitoring performance as well. And also, how are people using the data that you bring into the system as a holistic view of the whole system? Are people using the dashboards that you've supplied data to? For example, there's no point bringing a whole heap of data in and modeling it and putting it into a system that people are just not interested in. You want to be supplying the data that's relevant, and having that collaboration across the teams to deliver that, them data sets that are analysis ready are pretty good. So we need to get onto skills that matter. And so what skills exactly do matter? Well, let's have a look at that. Javier, can you tell us a bit about the role-based certifications we've got?
Absolutely, Marty. This is actually, as I said, a series of events. So in the whole event, we cover or we go deep into certain certification areas, right? Visualization, analysis, and in this case, engineering, right? There is one certification that got retired recently, right, which is the DP 203, right, Azure Data Engineer, right? That was actually a fun one back in the days to do, because definitely, it was exploring the whole Azure Data Engineer skills from end to end. Really, really useful, right? What is interesting is that now the DP 700, the Fabric Data Engineer certification, is the one that took over, right? So DP 203, if you see it, I mean, it's retired. You may still find context around on the web, right? But the one we should focus today is the DP 700 for data engineers.
And that's a good point, Javier. I like the 203 exam. So that was really one of my entry points from going from like SQL Server on-prem data into like the Azure world. So when I made that kind of transition, obviously I was working with people who were cloud engineers, really good at the Azure data scene, but I wanted to kind of validate my skills and make sure, that I wasn't missing anything. And taking those 203 exams, or the 203 exam, there were initially two of them, which were the forerunner to that. But taking them exams got me kind of up to speed on the Azure stack. And I mean, that was like 5-6 years ago. Things move on, but now I can draw an analogy with the DP 600, DP 700 exam, where they're, like I say, there's multiple starting points, but they are a good entry point into the whole Fabric environment.
Yeah, and also if we want to highlight the other two certifications here, the PL 300 is the one targeted to data analysts, right? The whole visualization part, the whole data analyst area of the project, right? Which it was covered in one of the episodes before. And as you said, Marty, the DP 600, also the Fabric Analytics Engineer, that covers the whole Fabric platform more from end to end, right? And the DP 700 really highlighted and focusing on data engineering.
Yeah, and Javier, I've always thought about a data analyst being, more or less a subset of data engineering. There's obviously that intersection between analysts and engineers, and I think it's actually quite broad. I mean, there are some skills that analysts probably concentrate more so on than engineers, but being able to look at data and have analytic skills will benefit you in your career. But one of the things we're here to talk about is the Fabric Data Engineer certification. And it's broke down into three main areas. And they're all like weighted kind of around the same, around that, 30-33% of the curriculum. So, first of all, Javier, we've got ingesting and transforming data. And like I said, there's a bit of a crossover between those two things. But just before I talk about that, I wanted to make the point about data pipelines in general. So Azure Data Factory, I guess people know it for ingesting data, transforming data, putting it from one place to another. But Data Factory is also an orchestration tool. So you could have that orchestrating your whole data flow. And it might be doing things like calling notebooks or calling data flow Gen 2s. It might be refreshing a model, or it might be doing something entirely different. It doesn't actually have to do I guess most of the things it is doing are data engineering tasks, but it can, if you've got something in your pipeline that, you just need to call, then Data Factory is capable of doing that. And that's one of the things I love about Data Factory, Javier.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned even before SSIS, right? SQL Server Integration Services, so which was the predecessor or the one in the on-premise world, let's say, right? But now being able to do that within Fabric with those Azure Data Factory pipeline is, what we really love, right? But if we go through the other skills that we need, right? Ingesting and transforming, of course, super important. But at the same time, securing and managing an analytic solution is key because, the project and the data set that we will be delivering has to be, of course, secure, have the proper security in place, as well as the whole management around it, right? When you do data management, believe me, there is a ton of, effort that you have to put on it. Right. And
that's right.
Yeah.
And I think those last two, securing and managing an analytic solution and monitor and optimize the solution, there is an intersection between those two. Now, quite a large one, really. For example, obviously, you want to make sure your environment is secure, but once it is secure, you've got things change all the time. There's people trying to, look for nefarious ways into various systems, and you want to know about it if someone's trying that. So you need to monitor. And if you find things, are looking like not so great, you want to have the opportunity to fix them, to make configuration changes if you need, to manage that environment. And then also you want to optimize. So, is our security optimizing? Is our pipeline optimized? When people get a visualization, is it coming to them pretty much straight away? Or is it taking like 5 minutes to get to the screen? So it's optimizing from the performance point of view and also from the cost point of view, Javier.
Absolutely. Cost is always something that we have to keep an eye on, right? At the same time, Marty, it's important to let the audience know that there are several languages that you need to be skilled on, right? Can you go back for a minute?
Sorry about that. Certainly can.
Yeah. No. So, for a data engineer, there are a couple of languages that you have to have skill on. First of all, structured query language, SQL, right? So you need to know how to deal with relational tables, views, tables, foreign keys, etc., and know the T-SQL language, right? PySpark, right? And KQL, Custom Query Language. Those are the three main languages that you have to be skilled on to be able to work in a data engineering process, and also at the same time being able to take this certification, because there's going to be several questions with pointing to statements or commands written in one of these language, right? And you have to be at least be comfortable with those. Right.
That's right, Javier. And people learn them things in different ways. People learn by getting stuck into a problem, by doing. Some people learn by watching, but I would say doing is a good way of building up that muscle memory. People are and collaborating and then certifying process, which is good. Hey, I've just noticed, Javier, there's a few questions in the chat. The first one is, can a business analyst also be a data engineer? And I would say Yes, definitely. And there's a little bit of a step up from just analyzing data to engineering the data and building pipelines and all that. But if you are an analyst and you have a really good foundation to transition your skills to a data engineer, I'll just read another one out because I've seen another one, Javier.
Yeah.
They're coming from a Power BI background and moving towards data engineering. It's on a similar vein. Would you recommend going straight into DP 700 or DP 600? Well, just to add to what I've already said, I would personally recommend starting at 600, which the analysis one, but it will take you into a little bit of engineering. And then once you've done that and got a little bit of practice, then going into 700 would be a good next step. But that journey is a good journey to go on. I don't know what order you did these exams in, Javier, but that's a good order for me.
Yeah, it's exactly what I did and what I would like to advise as well, right? So start with the DP 600, right? Get the overall overview on all the components within the platform, and then if you want to dig deeper into the data engineering part, take the DP 700. But if you are coming from the data analyst, Power BI visualization background, and you want to get and dig into this, definitely, it's not the final answer, right, Marty? There are different opinions, but for us,
it depends, Javier.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. It depends. But, I believe this is a pretty fair, good answer to say start by the DP 600 and then jump into the 700.
Right, that's good. But let's get on. Let's give our audience just a bit of an overview of Microsoft Fabric. We won't spend too long here. I think people probably have got a good understanding. But one of the things I like about this, you see like there's 7 or 8 boxes across the top. And people specialize in some of those different sorts of boxes, or maybe a few of them. For example, I would probably look more at the data engineer, the data factory, the data warehousing, but that's now pushed me into real-time intelligence. And like I say, I'm picking up bits of Power BI, already know quite a lot about databases. So I'm at home there, and I'm starting to pick up more Python and those sort of skills that you talked about previously, which is bringing me into the data science world, Javier. So what's your journey been?
I would say it's a carbon copy of the one you just described, Marty, right? We're coming from the same background. I started as, a database person, and now we have databases within Fabric, right? So also the ingestion, the data warehousing, the data engineering part is definitely the one that I do most often. And the real-time intelligence is the one that I'm getting into as we speak. So now jumping into this specific slide, which is the one I love the most. This is the slide that basically summarizes the whole journey within Fabric, right? Because you have the platform in the center with the different personas, the serverless compute layer and the storage represented with one lake, right? And then you had to, get data from external sources. And you have multiple ways to do it, right? One of them is, as we said, pipelines, in where you go and once an hour, once a day, or depending on your project, you go get the data and ingest into the solution. But at the same time, there is a new technology called mirroring that allows you to get data in near real time, right, from operational data sources into Fabric, right? So if you are a data engineering and you've been requested to deliver a data set for the analysts that get data from an operational application, like, for example, a point of sales, a stock market, a stock control, an e-commerce site or whatever, you can get that data in near real time, right? And then, run your Python notebooks and then give it to the visuals, to the visualization or Power BI analysts to work with, right? At the same time, in the lower layer, there is another one which is called multi-cloud shortcut, right? The multi-cloud shortcuts allow you from Fabric to go reach external clouds, like, for example, AWS, Google, or an Azure storage account. And if there are, data sets stored there, you can simply generate this shortcut, right? And you won't need to copy the data into Fabric. You will just reference the data from the external source, right? So mirroring and shortcuts are, I believe, the most exciting thing within the data ingestion part. What do you think, Mari?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, yeah, I do really like the idea of shortcuts. It kind of really cuts down on that single source of truth. Like, I guess, I don't know, people have been duplicating data for forever. And the shortcuts really help cut down on that duplication of data. So you've got that single source of truth. For example, you might have a data set in a storage account in Azure. And that might be being used by other processes like independent of Fabric, but you need data from it. So you can put a shortcut to that data and it will actually use the data from the Azure storage account itself. You don't have to pull it in, and then you've got two copies. Because when you've got two copies of something, there's always the chance that one copy is going to get out of sync, and then people making decisions on the copy that's out of sync are probably not going to make great decisions. So keeping that data like centralized, and well, it's called data virtualization. Keeping that data virtualized and from a single source of truth is really quite good. But one of the things I do like about Fabric is that separation of storage and compute. So we've got that on the screen at the minute. We've got our centralized data lake, which is one lake, so our one drive for data, and that supports T-SQL. We can put data into a lake house. We can put data into a warehouse. It's all stored in Parquet format, so it's all Delta Parquet. But you can query this with a traditional T-SQL language. People like myself, and I guess you, Javier, as well, really familiar with T-SQL. So being able to query data using that language is really great for people like us, old timers.
Absolutely. This is what we do all the time, right?
Absolutely, Javier. Yeah, so we have got the warehouse, and now we've got SQL database in Fabric as well. So, the warehouse does support that full T-SQL experience. It's enterprise scale, but it's for structured data. We've also got SQL Server. So it's basically Azure SQL database, but now it's Fabric SQL database. So everything you could do with Azure SQL database, you can now do inside the Fabric ecosystem with Fabric SQL database. So you put that into your workspace, and then you've got the option of ingesting data into that. Or I use that for building my metadata pipelines a lot. I store that for my metadata, which is going to drive my pipeline, and my pipeline is going to bring data through from bronze to silver to gold to various stages. The advantage there, if I want to add a table, Javier, I just put it into my metadata system and my pipeline will pick it up straight away. Not sure if you use things like that.
All the time, Marty, all the time. So, we as a SQL person, right, we always started with data warehousing, right? Then we jumped into lake houses and, unstructured data, right? So I believe that on the next slide, we're going to cover a little bit what's the difference between a data warehouse and a lake house, correct?
Indeed we are. You seem rather... You seem quite keen to do that, Javier. I'll let you give your opinion, and then I'll have a go at it as well.
Absolutely. The data warehouse is basically to store relational data, right? So what do we mean with relational and structured data? Tables with rows and columns in where the schema is fixed. Right? So we can create those relationships, these foreign keys from one table to the other, make our star schema and start using T-SQL to query this data. Then we have data lake, in where the schema is not as enforced as it is for the data warehouse. So we can store structured data as well. So we can store tables, right? But at the same time, we can store data which has, schemaless or unstructured data, like, for example, JSON files, for example, images files, or any kind of document, right? So that is actually the big difference between a data warehouse and a lake house. And the languages to work within a data lake, right, is P-SQL as well, right? SQL, but also, as we said before, Python, PySpark, right? Or R or Scala. Those are languages that will help you to work very, good within a data lake.
Yeah, I mean, that's right, Javier. One thing I do like about the data lake is, though, you can just store files of like any description you like within the data lake. And you mentioned shortcuts before. So you can actually shortcut from one workspace to the next workspace. You don't have to just shortcut to structured data. You can shortcut to unstructured data as well and get the virtualized data in exactly the same way. But so well done for summing up those differences. But let's just move off that subject a minute and go back to our pipelines, our data warehouse, our data factory workloads. Bit of a mouthful there. So like I said, it's available for orchestration as well. So you can call things like data flow gen 2s. You can call other pipelines, and breaking your main pipeline down into sub pipelines is probably a good design technology. So you could have one pipeline orchestrating everything, and then it might need to call another pipeline to do a certain task. Might call a notebook as well. So that's batch data. But Javier, do you do much with real time? Because I've been doing a little bit with it lately, and I kind of like the way it works. You've got to obviously listen out for the data that's being produced and coming into the platform. But then you're putting it to like a KQL database. We mentioned KQL before when we talked about different languages. It was on that slide. So have you done much with KQL, Javier?
Yes, and I'm actually, to be honest, pretty new in the real-time intelligence world, right? So I'm learning a lot about KQL, and if you get into the Fabric platform, right, there are sample data set that you can go and subscribe, and you have like stock market information that is coming in real time with the sample data, and then you can use KQL to query that data, right? So I'm quite impressed actually of everything that you can do with real-time intelligence.
That's great. Like, yeah. So before we start wrapping up, Javier, I guess we better tell people how to get started. So, if you wanted to start learning, let's say you didn't know anything about Fabric, or you know a little bit about it, but you want to brush up, Microsoft Learn is a great place to start. There's a lot of learning paths in there, a lot of modules that are going to be relevant to whatever phase of the life cycle you want to work at. So focusing on those things like the workflows, the ingestion, whether it's modeling, visualization, or just analysis, there's probably a pathway there for you. And a lot of these concepts are transferable or have overlap with other skills. So it really is a good place to start. What's your take on that, Javier? Where would you start?
Well, you stole my words, Martin.
Sorry about that.
Microsoft Learn is the number one place to go, right? Over time, Microsoft is enhancing this, let's say, learning platform quite a lot. So you have all you need if you are, if you just want to get started with, if you just want, if you are experienced, you have, exams to do, you have training courses, you have sandboxes if you just want to start playing around, and then the whole documentation that you have over there with exercises is great. So definitely Microsoft Learn is the number one place to go. With something else that we haven't mentioned that much today, Marty, which is the community, right? The Microsoft Fabric community is huge around the world, in person, virtual, in major events, right? If you want to get into the data platform, either the data analyst or the data engineering part of the picture, right? Go to the Microsoft Fabric community, right? If you have questions, if you want to, dig deeper, is the place to go.
A great point about community. I guess whatever it is, whatever walk of life you're in, being supported by a community who've got skills is a great thing to do, and will set you on your journey, no problem. But one of the other things is just picking a project, just getting started. Dive in and play, start small. And I guess this applies to enterprises as well. Start small with your project, build upon it, and away you go. Every success,
your hands dirty, right? You have to get your hands super dirty with this.
Yeah. Every successful big project, I think, started as a really successful small one. So don't think you've started too small. Just get to know things, build on them, and before you know it, you're away laughing, and you probably just picked up skills that you don't even realize you picked up.
Absolutely.
Hey, Javier, one thing you mentioned before was community resources. And I know you spent a bit of time telling us about it, but just wanted to touch on it again, because we concentrated on Microsoft Learn a lot there. But when you talked about community, so there's a lot of, just individuals like myself, yourself, the guys, the people who are on our moderating channel as well. They're putting out things like blogs, they're answering questions on forums. Not just answering questions, just sharing their knowledge, between all the friends that they've got on there. So I think that's really great. And there's a lot of people who have become really well known as kind of experts in this field, who don't work for Microsoft at all, who just use this technology to build things for customers every single day, and are willing to just share their knowledge about the pros and cons, the gotchas, all that sort of thing that just go with any kind of IT project in life. So and just reading questions, Javier, that's a really good way to learn. Just reading the questions and the comments.
Yeah, we are both community persons, so we learn from the community and by the community, right? So as we said, Microsoft Learn and community resources, plenty of things for you to dig.
Yeah, and I guess it's like anything, read the comments. People might have comments and they've got different views. Sometimes they might be wrong. Don't take it at face value. Go and try it. See what happens. Read, collaborate. Learning, just like it says on the slide, learning builds confidence, and confidence helps you explore new areas. And by exploring new areas, you just build your knowledge. It's all more or less a snowball once you get that confidence and that starting point.
Yeah. And what we need to do all here, right? Starters and seniors, right, is experiment, reflect, iterate, and learn. This is continuously in life, right? If you want to get into this skill area of any other skill area, I believe that this is what everybody needs to do, right? As we said before, play around, get into the technology, right? Do a project, keep learning, right? Get the experience and continue with this interaction.
That's right, Javier. Like you say, it's just a life skill, iterating. Like if you think about maybe a skill that you've got, maybe when you learn to drive, you're probably abysmal at it. If you learned in a manual car like me, you're a kangaroo in it down the road. And but 2, 3, 4, a month later, you're driving smoothly, you're making progress, and the next thing you know, you passed your test and you're driving around. Same with anything, whatever you're doing in life, that iteration and that reflection, and also that feedback. Like, I'm sure if I designed something, Javier, and built it, no matter how good I thought it was, I'm sure you might have feedback on it for me that would probably go towards improving my outlook on the complete solution.
Absolutely, Marty.
Yeah. So I'll build something and we'll see where we go with that, Javier. But like I say, reflection and repetition, they turn your practice into real skills. No matter if you're practicing on musical instruments, building a pipeline, writing a notebook, building a data flow Gen 2, or just doing visualization. I say just do visualization like it's just an afterthought, but it's a skill in itself, and it is a skill I wish I had. And maybe Javier, I'll improve.
Yeah. We want to do both over time.
We do.
Right.
We do.
Oh,
Hey,
what's next,
hang on.
Marty?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, we mentioned career paths and next steps later on. Do you want to tell us a bit about them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Marty. So, the idea here is that we should not focus only on the data engineering area of the scope, right? We have other paths, right? As we said multiple times today, for the visualization, for the analyst, right? For the ingestion, right? So, don't go and focus in one of them, explore them all. And for sure, you're going to like one of them more than the other. That's the one that you will be focusing at the end of the day, right? But definitely explore the different path, right? So you can, have more options within your career.
That's right. Variety is the spice of life, like they say. Early experiences don't lock you into anything. Just help you discover your strengths, your interests. You might start off on, I don't know, the ingestion track, but you might discover that you're really good at data visualization. And then, or you might start on the data visualization path, and you might find that like having a good model, which it does, having a good model will make your visualizations easier, and you might become really interested in modeling. I think like across all those things that we've talked about, Javier, across the whole life cycle, having some sort of knowledge about every facet is really good. Whether it's just baseline knowledge or this like 10, 20%, even 5%, having a little bit of knowledge allows you to then go deep into each area if you want to, be that data pipelines, data flow Gen 2s, visualization, whatever it is. And that's the way I've kind of built my career. I know I've been doing this a long time, like yourself, but I think that approach has really benefited myself.
That's the advice for the audience, definitely.
It is indeed. Okay, so how would we build our skills? So we don't just want to build a title. I guess
absolutely not. Yeah.
I guess as we go through life, Javier,
we need to go and enjoy the journey, right?
Yeah, we do.
And that is what at the end of the day will build our skill, right? We cannot chase on the title. We cannot chase on the final certification, right? We definitely need to go through this overall journey and, participate in different projects, contexts like the one we just saw, contributions within the community, as we said, right? And keep getting into the different solutions and build your skill, right? That's the message today.
Yeah, that's right. I've held many different titles over the years, but essentially I've always been doing data stuff, whether it's been a DBA, a fabric data engineer. Now they call me a manager, but effectively I'm doing a lead data engineer's job. So titles on everything, and different organizations might call you different things, but just concentrate on your skills. So take action and connect, seek out those mentors. And what other advice would you have for us, Javier?
As we said, community, right? If you are not part of a community or a local user group right now, go join one of them. There are plenty of those. Engage with those communities, right? There are plenty of forums and contexts as we just present today. So be part of it, right? And always take the next step, right? Start very small, but then, go through that, continue with the learning, build your project, and keep contributing with the community. You will build that skill that at some point in your career, you would like to start giving back to the community all the things that you just learned. Right.
That's an interesting one, Javier. Giving back. I guess when you start off and you're just building your knowledge, you're like absorbing knowledge. But after you get to that stage where you've got a whole heap of knowledge, you can start like giving it back the other way and helping other people, paying it forward, as people say. But sharing your knowledge is good. It's good, I find.
Yeah.
But are we going to remind people, Javier, about our schedule?
Yeah, we are wrapping up the series today, right? Again, you have everything in these links on the screen, right? The whole series is already recorded. You go and can watch all of them, including this one right after we just finished. It's going to be all available for everybody. So go to aka.ms Fabric Data Days schedule, and you will go there, or go directly to the YouTube YouTube channel, to the Reactor area, and you will have it over there. Here again, your QR code to get the voucher for the free 600 or 700 certification. Remember, you have to request the voucher before December 5th and take the exam before December 31st.
Okay, that's pretty good, Javier. So, as well as that, just a quick reminder, we do have free hands-on workshops. Remember to register for that.
Yeah, we have, as we said at the beginning, the Fabric Analyst in a Day workshop and the Real-Time Intelligence in a Day. We definitely encourage you to explore these two workshops. And if you have the time, right, definitely it's a full day and you will learn a lot, right?
Yeah, that's right, Javier. So just remember, there's a lot of resources out there. And yeah, I want to thank people for the time. Let's have a final word from you, Javi.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin, let's wrap up. Great to be here with you, with all this community, with all these people that would like to learn. So we see each other next time.
We will indeed, Javi. It's been great talking to you and chewing the fat, and also helping people. Hopefully people have got a lot out of this. Thanks to our moderators who've been standing by answering our questions. Thanks to the audience for the questions. But thanks to you for making the time, whatever time you got up in the world. Thanks for joining us. See you later.
See you around. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. This session is a part of a series. To register for future shows and watch past episodes on demand, you can follow the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. And we'll see you at the next one.